The key questions, having worked in the Middle East and Asia for a long time, is I'm curious as to how much interaction there is between the Western architects and local architects, and what has Western architecture brought into the local kind of architectural practice.
Okay, that's a question. I mean, the answer will vary from city to city. It's a very good question, because to try to, as architects based in London or New York or one of the major cities, to try to understand everything about a city is impossible. And if you want to do projects across many cities, you have to collaborate and go to partnerships. So the result of this collaboration usually ends up being transfer of know-how and also exchange of ideas, and it usually benefits the two sides. It's not a one-way route. So the exception, I would say, of that is maybe China, because of the way the big offices are set up there. It's almost impossible to exchange things. But in all the other cities, it's a two-way route, and I think the benefit is from the two sides.
And how much would you be involved in terms of the master planning and the urban plans as well? Is it just the site-specific work that you're involved in, or do Western architects kind of involve themselves in master plans as well?
Master plans come across, and we do a lot of master plans. And I think sometimes we try to give architects too much credit. I mean, we basically do the work that we hired to do, and whether we want to call it banal or want to call it whatever we want to call it, it is a commission, and we try to do the best to be contextual and to understand the environment and the region that you're in. If we are involved at a master plan level, it usually is slightly more interesting in terms of linking to the context, but it really depends from city to city as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Abu Dhabi International Airport, which was an impressive amount of people, as you say, transferring through, and the what you said was the sense of place was actually very important, the identity, and not thinking it's just another transit. What surprised you the most about that project? Has it been a kind of a smooth ride all the way through, or has it been quite a difficult journey?
No, it's a difficult journey. What surprised us is the client quest for sense of place, which is not what we started off with. The kind of big moves, the big ideas were accepted and progressed with. However, when it came down to the finishes, to stuff that people would actually experience while walking and touching walls and walking floors and things like that, the sensitivity went back to the basics, which is, where are you, what colors do you see, what do you touch, what is the texture here, and that took us a little bit by surprise in a positive way, and we tried to respond to it, but I think that's what I would categorize as a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. And I guess lastly, and probably unfair of me to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway, how do you see the next 10 years? Is this construction bubble, the influence of the Western architecture or the employment of Western architects going to stop? How do you see the next 10 years in terms of the...
I think if you just trace a line, and you'll find that the way it goes is that architects get involved in areas that then mature enough to handle similar projects, and then the expertise is then required in other cities, and we can see that now moving in Asia, especially from city to city. So I don't think it's going to stop. I think if anything, it's going to get worse. But it also may develop into different cities as opposed to cities that we're currently used to. I mean, take for example Shenzhen. Shenzhen is the city next to Hong Kong, and I think, I don't know, maybe over 1,000 architects are doing things over there. I mean, at some point they're going to have to do something else in a different city, but at the moment that's kind of a place for experimentation for a lot of architects. And it's not all positive. Some of it is tough.
Thanks very much.